Hello, everyone. Welcome. Let me add Chelsea. Chelsea is here. Yay! We'll wait for her to do the thing that also lets her talk. Okay. See. Mm-hmm. All right, there we go. Still muted, Techno. Oh, unable. My internet has not been all that great recently. So, okay, there we go.
There we go.
Hello!
Hi.
Hi. Sorry, I'm sometimes very technologically
No, I
challenged,
think it
so, you know.
got confused because you invited me and I requested it like the same time, so I think that it was fighting. So
Okay.
it's all good. It's all
All
good.
right. Well, we're here now. Welcome. I'm so excited for this conversation.
So excited to be here.
Okay, just to start out, I'm just gonna read off your little bio so that people who don't know about you can know a little bit about your background. So Chelsea is a functional nutritionist and an intuitive practitioner with 8 years of experience in the field of holistic healthcare and foundational medicine. She's here to lead the empowered healer movement by illuminating the path for all to experience wholeness and wellness. Her own healing journey serves as her greatest teacher for what is possible when we blend science and spirit. She's passionate about empowering her clients and the collective to remember that we are each our own healer.
You got it.
Yes, oh, Chelsea, I'm so inspired by you and the way you are leading in medicine and forging the path truly because everyone knows our healthcare system needs reform, and you are walking the walk, leading the way for change. So, first of all, just thank you for being the gift that you are.
Well, thank you. That's very, very, very kind and lovely and reflective of you to say because it takes somebody like you to see that in me. So
Mhm.
beautiful. Mm.
Chelsea, to start
Yeah.
with, I just want to ask you, what is it that makes you shine? What drives you and lights you up?
Mm. Just just a small question.
Start
Um,
with the basics.
yeah, no, what is it that makes me shine? What is it that lights me up? I think I know that what lights me up and what makes me shine is having experience for myself and then being able to witness in those around me and in the people that I work with what it looks like in someone's life when they truly kind of take ownership and responsibility over their health and well-being and actually get to experience health and well-being in their body, their heart, their mind, and their soul, and then what that looks like in their life. When I started in the field, it was so much about, don't eat this, take that supplement, let's fix this, gut thing or hormone thing so that your health is better. And it was like, yeah, that's great, that's amazing. But what does that mean for their life? And that's where the biggest joy and spark and motivation and like call to continue spreading that message comes from is when you feel well, you get to live well. And that has really been a big kind of driving force and kind of igniter of the flame for me.
Mm. Something you said in your little bio is that your own healing journey has served as, given you the biggest lessons. And
Mm-hmm.
we've a lot in Untamed a lot, we've been talking about darkness and light and alchemizing darkness. And so I guess where did it come from originally? Like where what was a time where you intentionally went through the darkness and
Mm-hmm.
alchemized it into light?
Yeah. Well, whether it was intentional intentional or not, right? And isn't everything intentional, right? What's meant for us will always find us. I spent about the first 5 years of my career in holistic nutrition, holistic healthcare, working in a clinic where we were very holistic, right? Very natural medicine minded. That's what I'd say. We were very natural medicine minded, but still very body focused, right? Instead of using medication and surgery, we would use, supplements or nutritional guidance or elimination diets, and then, refer out for body work and things like that. So it was very lovely and wonderful. And that was a huge part of my own initial healing from hormonal issues and gut health issues and, acne and headaches and fatigue and anxiety and depression and all these different things. And what started to happen was that the work that I was doing felt incomplete for those that I was serving, but also for the way that I was taking care of myself. And I know that others around me could see and sense my discomfort and just misalignment with the work that I was doing. And they would tell me about it, but I chose to kind of ignore that, right? So if we want to claim it as powerful as I was choosing to stay in a misaligned situation or enter deeper into the darkness to then alchemize something, I chose to stay in a situation that was not aligned, because when I look at it, we were caring for part of a being, right? We were caring for the physical vessel, and we really weren't taking into account what was happening for somebody energetically or emotionally. And I was doing the exact same thing for myself. No, I'm good. I'm fine. I'll do a little meditation. I'll do some mantras. I'm going to listen to Abraham Hicks on the way to work, and I'm going to take all my supplements and eat perfect, and everything's fine. But I am like literally physically and emotionally and energetically uncomfortable. But I'm going to stay here because I don't know what else I would do. And so as that continued, and it literally did get darker and darker to the point where I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. I don't know if I'm going to have a rest of my life. Like I know I will, but I have no idea what that's possibly going to look like. There came a point where there was no longer a choice to stay, and that felt like the darkest of points, but really that was the spark of hope, because there was no longer the option to stay in the discomfort that was familiar. It was the forced and chosen. Now that I look at it, even though I was like, I had no say in this, I don't know what happened, where'd my job go, oh my gosh, I had a job and now I don't have a job, and it just all went to shit all of a sudden. It was like, no, you picked to stay as long as you needed to stay, so that you would learn the lesson, so that you could turn the darkness of your own experience into the light of the way you're going to go forward and serve people. And this was just over 2 years ago. And what really came out of that was, it is no longer acceptable for me to care for half of myself. And it is no longer acceptable for me to serve others in a manner that has split them into two, right? We can talk about natural healthcare all day long, but if we ignore who somebody is emotionally and energetically, we're still just caring for half of somebody or part of somebody. And that knowing and that experience, like that literal, like physical discomfort brought on by energetic misalignment, was, now looking back at it, chosen darkness that really brought a lot of light.
Wow. What you're saying too about ignoring a whole part of someone is just like what happens in healthcare, even in the functional medicine, even in the natural healthcare. And speaking with you is always so eye-opening, because it's not just in the Western medicine side. It's everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
which is just like it's really interesting. And so what sorts of things did you start to notice that made you say, oh, maybe I should do a little bit more like spiritual work or energetic work or
Mm-hmm.
emotional work? Or what is the inner child and why does that concept keep popping up? Like, what were those little things for you?
Yeah. What I started to notice in how I took care of myself personally was that I was having different experiences of discomfort, right? My digestion started to go a little haywire again, and it had been really stable. I was more tired. I felt more anxious. Things that I had experienced started to creep back in. And the tools that I had been used to using, right? Homeopathics and ashwagandha and mitochondrial support and detox support and digestive enzymes and diet changes, they weren't cutting it anymore. And it was like, there's no handful of nervous system, nutrient blend that I can take that's making me feel better. And the first thing that actually made a difference, this is just like a random kind of Hail Mary one day when I was at work. We were always super busy, running around like a chicken with your head cut off. You like felt like you were helping people, but it didn't feel satisfying, which is the most bizarre way to feel. And I have to imagine it's how so many providers feel in our modern healthcare world, where you're like, I'm helping, but I feel like garbage. What is this? Like, was that one day, and I'm lucky to have grown up with a mom who's a life coach. So I was familiar with the law of attraction and Abraham Hicks and some of those things. And so I kind of, peeked into the world of like, well, what could I listen to? And I was listening to, started listening to some Abraham Hicks audios, but the idea popped in to write down my intention on a little piece of paper, like for the day or for the morning or afternoon, and put it in my bra. And I was like, I'm at this point, like something has to give. Like, I know about frequency. I understand that like everything is energy. I understand logically. I've never really played with it, but like, I'm just going to do it and we'll see what happens. And what I found is that the days when I would remember to do that, I would get to the end of the day and I was like, I feel better. I don't know what. And then I would get home and I would take my bra off, immediately, because who leaves their bra on? I don't wear bras anymore. Let's be honest. I work for myself. I haven't worn a bra in 2 years. And I would take my bra off and the piece of paper would fall out onto the floor. And it would be like, oh yeah, that is actually making like a weirdly big difference. And we know the world of personal development and accountability of our energy is so much bigger than affirmations and mantras and all. We know it. There's so much more to it. But it was like, that is a legitimate impact. What else do I need to be paying attention to? And I started to see very similar things in my colleagues that were feeling very similar to how I was. There's no amount of body work, physiology work, anything that's going to cut it. And there was a good friend and colleague of mine. We both slowly started to put it together. It was like what we are experiencing, which is also what we see our clients and our patients experiencing. This is no longer just about how your body is functioning. This is about the resonance in which you're showing up. And your body is the main way, the way we're most familiar with receiving signals, right? So it's going to send you signals that feel like they're physiological, but they aren't. But it's trying to get you to listen.
Wow. Yeah, I'm taking it all in. That is so much wisdom. Yeah, wow. Sorry. I'm just thinking about so many things, especially with your body sending you signals and not listening to them, and not only not listening to them, but just saying, "Oh, this is just normal. This is a normal part of my day."
Mm-hmm.
Because I think we've all experienced that. Or maybe we've thought it was not normal and gone to a doctor who said, "Oh, it is normal," or "I can't do anything for you." And and it's still our bodies communicating with us. And those signals are always meaningful, whether or not, you give them big meanings, it's important to note them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, wow. And I just admire your courage for taking the leap and doing what you know will truly help people, and also walking the walk, because there are a lot of people who are healers, whether they are all the way on the spectrum of surgeons or like other medical doctors, all the way to the spectrum of light workers who do not embody what they teach or what they practice. And so I also want to recognize you and just share that it's so wonderful that you are walking the walk as
That's
well.
a really good, I don't know, thank you, a beautiful reflection and reminder. And now when I'm looking back at kind of my journey with my health, I can very clearly link my discomfort in going to the clinic and doing the job that I was taught to do, that we did the same. Every provider worked the exact same way. We all followed the same steps. We used the same tools. There was individualization for our patients, but there wasn't in how we provided care, which at the end of the day, really, I mean, it puts you in a box, right? But I had such resistance to going to do my job, and I couldn't figure out why. And that, it's all kind of coming together right at this moment as you say that, because I wasn't walking the walk. I didn't know what the walk was. I didn't know that the walk meant get your energetic shit together, deal with your emotional things, find the right support for you. Yes, take care of your body, right? Move and eat and nourish and supplement and support your organs and all of the things. But like, if you're not walking the walk, it feels really, really misaligned to try to talk the talk. And I didn't know that that's what the misalignment was. And so I would put the misalignment on, oh, I'm actually not meant to work in healthcare. I'm not meant to serve others. People would be like, oh, you're a healer. And I was like, what? Like, gross. That's a gross title. Ew. Yuck. Which, I mean, we're all our own healers. That's the whole premise of the empowered healer concept. But I was like, that's no, I just have knowledge and do some stuff and tell people what not to eat and what supplements to take. No, I'm not that, because it felt I wasn't truly embodying what it meant to be healthy and well. And I wasn't truly teaching or guiding other people toward true health and wellness. And that's where the resistance came from. And I'm just now realizing that I couldn't even put my finger on it until now. So thank you for that.
You're
Big
welcome. I
moment.
was just reflecting what I see in you.
Well, thank you.
Um, And that actually brings up what we were just in a call with Carmen and Taylor and some
Mm-hmm.
other untamed women, and that brings up the conflict that she was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Just because there's conflict doesn't mean it's not for us. It means there might be something in there that is meant to teach us something. And she was saying that, and I was like immediately thinking of like 5 to 10 examples of how that was true in my life in the last few months.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's such a beautiful invitation. I feel this way, the conflict example where we feel contracted around, for you, even in rotations, like with a patient or with a provider or with someone else that you're working with, or in our personal relationships, whether it's professional or whatever it may be, those contractions, it's really actually an invitation to look at, what is this trying to tell me, right? When so often we go, well, that's a contraction, so I'm just going to ignore it, but that doesn't serve us in any way, shape, or form. But I feel that way about those body signals as well, right? About the symptoms that our bodies express. And you literally said it. It's just, it doesn't necessarily, it's not good or bad. It's just our body expressing something. And that's, I think, I feel the same very much so about symptoms. They're not good or bad. That headache is not good or bad. Whatever's going on with your digestive tract is not good or bad. That contraction, when you get into conversation with so and so at work, is not good or bad, but it's an invitation to explore. And we've done this funny thing in Western and functional and all of the medicines of like, that symptom is either bad and it's a problem, so you need to fix it, or that symptom is, I don't know, we don't know why it's there, so it's normal, but like, no, it's a common symptom, but no symptom is technically normal. It's just information, it's just communication, but it's an invitation to look at where is that coming from without fearing it, without labeling it, without having a reaction to it, without like putting literally separating the contraction is bad, the symptom is bad, the headache is bad, like separating those things from ourselves. They're just an invitation for reflection, right? And how often I've actually noticed this in a client recently. It was like we were kind of in this cycle where like she'd be like pretty good and pretty steady for however long, days, weeks, and then all of a sudden there would be this like panic, like, oh my gosh, I need help, I don't know what's going on, da, 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 da. And I was like, why can't what am I doing wrong that's not like getting her to the point of more empowerment and more stability? Because I'm here to help. I tell my clients this. I'm like, my goal when we work together is that you eventually do not need me. I'm not going anywhere. Like I'm rooted in that, like this work, this healing work, this being of service work is what I'm here to do. And that took me a long time to get to that point. But there should be no like need, right? There isn't really anything that I can tell you that you can't learn from yourself. I just happen to speak the language of the human brain and the body, right? And I was like, why are we stuck in this cycle? Like, what am I doing wrong, right? I'm as a provider, right? You're like, oh my gosh, like she got another headache. I must be terrible at my job. I have to go retire and work at a bar on an island somewhere. I don't know. Apparently that's what I'm doing in retirement. Um, and I realized, I was like, oh, the times I can see it, the patterns in me that I'm working on and working through when I get a little out of alignment and get kind of cranky, or I ignore my needs, or I am not spending time in reflection. I'm resistant. I call it going like full human, where I'm like, I'm in victim and I'm mad and I'm cranky and I'm not communicating and I'm not meditating and I'm like, supplements are stupid, but I'm like, I have to do, whatever. I go like, I almost like throw a little tantrum, but not in an empowered way. I just kind of go, like, it's literally a reflection. Like she's reflecting to me when I'm having those moments. And I was actually able to kind of share that with her. I was like, here's the deal. We are both clearly still working through patterns and we have some agreement to help each other see that in each other. So I'm going to work on recognizing the patterns in me. You work on recognizing them in you. I am still here to support you, but I can literally see that like when I have a stomping my foot human moment, you're having a stomping your foot human moment. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Why can't I fix this? And it's like, oh, it's not up to me to fix her. It's up to me to empower her. And it's not even up to us to be fixed at the end of the day because nothing is broken, but it's up to her the same way it's up to me to stand in choosing how I'm going to show up for myself that day. And I wasn't choosing to show up like a grumpy toddler stamping my foot human. I was just unconsciously going there. So it was like an unbelievable reflection. I was like, okay, so we have something going on here and we're going to talk about it and we're going to work on it. And I am going to break the cycle for myself. That means that you get to break it for yourself.
Wow. What what a powerful way to heal and like heal together collectively with your clients too. And to be able to recognize that, to shine awareness and light on the darkness. Oh my gosh. So something you talk about a lot is you empowering your clients and each of us having the tools within us to heal ourselves ultimately. And it seems like you call this the empowered healer. And so I just want to like put a name to that and like directly ask you, what exactly does that mean? And what is this movement?
Yeah. Yeah. The empowered healer, right? I've gotten into the habit of calling it an era. I'm like, well, I think eras have an end, so I should probably work on that lingo. But the empowered healer is, for me, is the simple linguistical representation of what it means when we as individuals recognize that we're more than just a body, right? I talk about the soul and the meat suit. And so many of us, and we see this around us all the time, are living just in our meat suit. And luckily, we're in an era where so many more people are waking up and recognizing, like, I have this whole energetic part of myself. And so, in the empowered healer way of living, let's say, it's that moment where you recognize I am both. I am multifaceted. I am more than just a human here on earth, and I am not willing to live a life where I ignore that. And I'm going to prioritize bringing my body and my being together and making decisions in my life from that place. And in my work and our work, those decisions have a lot to do with our health and our wellness and how we function and how we live and all of those things. And so the dream scene for me in an empowered healer way of living is that, and I work on practicing this every day, and I work on, empowering people to remember that this is a gift that they have, is when something pops up, right? Because inevitably it will. I used to think the point of healing was that like everything was always perfect and you get $5 million a week. And I was like, oh, okay, no. The point of healing is that when something happens, whether it's a symptom pops up in the body or something stressful happens in life, because that inevitably will, we take that moment of pause and we bring our body and our being together, right? And that might be literally 10 seconds of like, I'm going to close my eyes, I'm going to take a couple of deep breaths, and I'm just going to let myself come back into resonance. That might be hours of meditation or somewhere in between, right? But I'm going to come to that place. I'm going to bring myself into alignment. I'm going to remember that I am not just one or the other. And I'm going to bring myself into alignment. And from there, I'm going to make a decision about how I'm going to be or what I'm going to do next. I'm the one in the driver's seat. So this happened to me recently. I was like, my body was doing something funky, and I was like, girl, you're trying to tell me something. And I have a silly amount of knowledge about all the different tools or supplements or biohacking or red light or sauna or food thing I could do to deal with this. But like before I start running around like a chicken with my head cut off trying to fix a problem, let me get really calm and peaceful. Okay, I'm here, I'm centered, and I can recognize that like there's just so much noise that I might not even be the one who can figure this out. I might not be the one who actually is going to hit the nail on the head about how to best care for myself. So I'm going to just chill for a minute and let the right source of guidance come through. Should I call my chiropractor? Should I get in touch with my practitioner that does work similar? Is this an energy thing? Maybe this is a do nothing thing. And I'm sitting in my office and I'm looking around and I get a text message from my dear friend who is my practitioner who does work like me. And she's like, hey, we should set up a time to, and I was like, yes, please. Yeah. What are you doing later? Turns out, okay, right? And then like, as I'm sitting there kind of looking around, a couple of other things that can support me pop into my ethers. And I'm like, great, okay. Versus I'm frantic. This is a problem. Oh my gosh. And this does not mean like in an emergency medical situation or an emergency healthcare situation, I'm not going to get help immediately, right? But if primarily, and we see this in so many situations, it's like if you took 10 deep breaths and let yourself come into one, the solution becomes so much more clear. And then you're going to come back to a more peaceful energy. Even if you still don't feel how you want to feel, then you're reacting from you're not reacting, you're choosing something versus reacting to something, right? You're creating and you're open to the possibilities and you're open to creating something for yourself for what's going to happen next versus reacting to something. And that's where you see so many people. I mean, how many people do we know who are like, I've taken 500 different supplements. I've done every diet under the sun. I've taken this medicine, that medication, this thing. They cut out this organ. Now I'm back on 45 different supplements and it's still not working. And it's like, well, because you're reacting to a problem instead of aligning your body and your being and like stepping into the truth that you are your own healer. You're the empowered healer. And that doesn't mean we don't ask for help. It doesn't mean we know everything. It doesn't mean that sometimes we're not like, fuck it, I'm going to do nothing right now. I'm actually, you know what I'm going to do is actually eat more ice cream because that is just what I need to do right now. Okay? Like, but you're making those choices from an empowered place versus a reactive kind of victim place.
You know what that reminds me
Mm-hmm.
of is leading with the heart and softening into the feminine,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm just, this is all just coming through right now. The very, very masculine structure of the Western medical system versus this is the feminine. Like, let's just pause. Let's just tune in and connect and let the solution come rather than what I'm learning in school right now, which is useful sometimes for sure,
Mm-hmm.
where we're always thinking with our head. We're always just yeah thinking and so this week for me is a big like study week, and so I'm doing a lot of practice questions, and I really have to make sure at the end of the day I take a minute and I get back into my body because I'm in my head all day.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just like the opposite of that, and it is so beautiful because we just allow for possibilities, the right thing to just come through. And
Mm-hmm.
it's easy and it's simple and it feels so good.
Absolutely. Well, and you end up with these really unique and like truly personalized sets of tools or like your little healing toolbox is full of things that are just right for you, but you're also aware that like this might not be the end all be all. This might not be the only magnesium supplement that I ever take or whatever it is. Or like I that used to in this the style of care that I was taught very similar, right? Not Western medicine, in natural medicine, but still very structured, very rule driven, very, very masculine. And a part of what we were taught to talk to clients about was like, hey, how did this week go as far as, following your nutritional plan, not eating these things, eating more of these things, drinking enough water, and how about taking your supplements? Are you getting your breakfast doses in and your dinner doses or whatever? And when people weren't perfect or successful at that, we were meant to teach them like, well, hey, if you don't take it, it won't work. If you don't do the stuff, it won't work. Instead of going like, hey, well, is there a reason? Is it just like a routine thing? Is it a preference thing? Is that, are we moving at a rate or towards something that doesn't feel right for you? But also, is there a reason that maybe at dinner, like you're not kind of into your supplements? Like, is there something else that your system is trying to tell you? Like, let and learn how to listen, right? And the it's similar to like the intuitive eating movement or just using our intuition in general. It's not always easy. I again have moments where I'm like, there is so much noise that I'm like, somebody can somebody else take over for a second, because when there is a lot of noise, right, when we are just living out of rhythm with nature and we're more exposed to toxins and our food is lower vibration versus higher vibration and we're dehydrated and we're not sleeping enough, like that creates a lot of noise. It does make it more challenging to go, oh, I meditated for 3 minutes and I knew exactly the perfect dinner to eat tonight to fill in all of my potential nutrient insufficiencies. Oh, that's some sort of like intuitive nutritionist magic that I should probably play with. That sounds fun. But it's harder to hear those things, right? And so to recognizing that, yes, using the tools that are going to help clear your literal physical channel, but then also using the energetic tools means that you get to go into flow between the when the masculine structure is needed around our healing, because sometimes it is, like you said. I was saying, like, if I get hit by a bus, please take me to the hospital, right? Like there are people out there in the world that are such beautiful and gifted energy healers that they can handle that. I am not at that level. Like, to the hospital we go. But to be able to integrate the feminine and to be able to integrate creativity and possibility into how we care for ourselves, like that takes an open and clear channel, that takes prioritizing peace, that takes prioritizing bringing yourself into wholeness, and at the end of the day, remembering that you are inherently healthy and whole and well. And so it's not fixing the problem, it's returning to your natural and inherent state of being.
Mm, yes, it is because we are created perfectly. And, sometimes life gets us here and there and we deviate and that's okay because then we get to return to how we were created.
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea, I could talk to you probably for hours about this.
And you.
Yeah, but to keep this potent and just like hitting the nail right on the head, I'm gonna wrap it up with one more question. So, what is your message to the soul who currently feels as though their light is dim, or maybe they're like either stuck in darkness or they're at the place where they're in darkness and they know that there's more and they're desiring to reach out towards the light, but they're not really sure how? What advice do you have for that soul?
Yeah. When I was in, I would say, like the darkest night of my soul, right, 2 years ago, like I was going to go become an accountant. I was like, I'm actually not meant to work in health. I'm going to be an accountant. My husband was like, okay, give that a go. It lasted about 45 seconds. Taylor, actually, on a master class, helped me remember that darkness can't push out light, right? Shadow can't push out light. Only lightness can cast out the dark. And so when we're in that darkest time, and that can be related to our health, right? That's so common. That can be related to our life, the work that we're here to do, the relationships that we're here to have, how we're here to feel when we're in the darkness. That remembering, and like, even if we're like, yeah, I gotta know, but like really, really sinking into that, remembering that like we are the light, right? And so when it feels
Mm,
dark, like your truth is that you are the light. The truth is that every being here, every human here is the expression of God, source, creator's love in human form. And that is light. And that's where in any part of our journey, right? Health, life, work, partnership, whatever it may be, when we forget that we are already the light, it's as simple, which doesn't feel simple when you're in it, but it's simple as remembering and then kind of looking around and going, okay, what is this what is this false darkness that has me believing that that's my truth when there's literally no way that that's possible? And what can I start to shine light on? And it doesn't actually require effort to shine light because I just am light. Where can I point my heart and illuminate something that either then makes sense of how I need to handle it to move through it, or it just can no longer be because I've chosen to remember that I'm the light.
What beautiful advice.
Mm.
I have tears in my eyes. Oh, thank you so much, Chelsea, for sharing your wisdom. It was so wonderful having you on,
Mm.
and maybe one day I'll have to have you on again so we can dive even deeper.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kate. This was so beautiful.
All right, bye.
Bye.